Exposed. ZEC says Mnangagwa is on his own. Don't involve us. The silence breaks. What's up, Zimbabwe, Africa, and every citizen tired of being played like voters are a deck of cards. I'm Takunda Mabika, your political street pastor, and this is Southern Africa Breaking News, where silence gets exposed and fake alliances get stripped bare. Like this video if you believe the truth should scare the powerful. Subscribe if you know the people are stronger than the puppet show.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. You're here because you want to understand the significant developments around the 2023 elections in Zimbabwe quickly and thoroughly, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
Right.
Our focus today is on extracting the most crucial information, the key insights from recent reports, specifically from Southern Africa Breaking News and the Informant YouTube channels. They've been covering potential election issues and, importantly, the reactions of key institutions. So we've gone through their video transcripts to really break this down for you.
Yeah, and our mission here isn't just, repeating the headlines. We want to unpack the underlying significance of what's being reported.
Okay.
We're looking into these claims of irregularities and how Zimbabwe's institutions, especially the Electoral Commission, ZEC, and the military, are actually responding.
Okay, so let's dive right in then.
Right.
There are some, frankly, startling claims coming out about the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, ZEC. Southern Africa. Breaking News is reporting that sources inside ZEC have been privately sort of distancing themselves from the election outcome.
Right.
There's this alleged quote going around, "We did our job. If anything changed, it wasn't us. Don't involve us." I mean, that sounds pretty defensive.
It really does. And what's interesting there is the implication, isn't it? If ZEC officials are saying things like that, even privately, it suggests a real potential lack of confidence within the commission itself about the integrity of the final results.
Yeah.
The report also mentions an alleged emergency meeting at ZEC headquarters. Apparently, a senior official stood up and said they were being asked to defend things they didn't actually do. That hints at, a pretty big internal division.
An internal split within ZEC itself.
That's what the report claims. It suggests some members are still, let's say, aligned with President Mnangagwa, while others are reportedly cooperating with the military's audit unit.
Wow. Okay. So it paints this picture of a potentially fractured institution. What are the implications if that's true, if ZEC is divided?
Well, look, if ZEC isn't presenting a united front on the election results, it could seriously undermine the perceived legitimacy of those results, both at home and, internationally.
Sure.
And this internal friction, it could definitely embolden anyone looking to challenge the outcome.
Okay. And the report also highlighted something that happened in Parliament. Apparently, a ZEC representative was asked about altered V11 forms.
Ah, yes, the V11s. Crucial documents.
Exactly. For anyone listening, those are the initial vote counts from each polling station. So they asked about alterations, and the ZEC rep's response was basically to point inquiries towards the printers and the uploaders.
Which sounds very much like ZEC trying to create distance, doesn't it? Like they're washing their hands of anything that happened after the initial paper count.
So distancing themselves from the digital chain of custody.
Precisely. Think of that digital chain like a logbook for an electronic file, who touched it when. It's vital for ensuring nothing's been improperly changed.
Right.
So when ZEC says, talk to the printers and uploaders, it's like they're saying, our job ended with the paper. What happened online isn't on us.
Okay, and adding another layer here. We're hearing claims that at least 3 ZEC regional officers are reportedly cooperating with the military auditors.
Yes, that's in the reports too.
It's described not as formal interrogations, but quiet interviews. They're trying to understand where these V11 forms came from, how they were verified. Why would these officers talk to the military? Does that suggest they don't trust their own bosses?
That's a really key question. Cooperating with an external audit, especially a military one, could signal a few things. Maybe a lack of faith in internal procedures, or perhaps a fear of being scapegoated if they don't cooperate.
Self-preservation.
Could be. The report notes some of these officers allegedly admitted they didn't even see the final V11 forms until announcement day, and some were already sealed.
Seriously?
Yeah, which raises huge questions about oversight, about transparency within ZEC.
So, okay, let's connect the dots. If ZEC is creating this distance from the final results, what does that mean for President Mnangagwa? His win was declared by ZEC.
Exactly. If the very body that announced the results now seems hesitant about the process after the initial count, Well, it significantly weakens the foundation of his legitimacy, doesn't it?
It has to.
It could make him more vulnerable to legal challenges, and it just fuels more doubt about the election's fairness.
The Southern Africa breaking news report also hints that some inside ZEC feel like they were used after the election, and now they're quietly getting closer to the military audit team, maybe because they're afraid of being blamed. It sounds like a scramble.
That's certainly a plausible reading of it. When irregularities are suspected, people inside might try to protect themselves by cooperating with an independent probe, right? Especially if they think their own leadership maybe wasn't fully transparent.
And Mnangagwa's inner circle? Apparently they know about this ZEC soft withdrawal.
So the reports claim
They're supposedly holding meetings, thinking about reassigning junior staff, even getting ready to blame foreign interference if details from the military audit leak out. It sounds like damage control is already underway.
Well, if you look at the bigger picture, these reported actions suggest the ruling party recognizes the election results are under some serious scrutiny, preparing narratives to shift blame. That's pretty standard political strategy when you're under pressure.
Looking down the road, the report even mentions a possible parliamentary motion, something to protect state workers who cooperate with the military audit, provided they weren't involved in wrongdoing themselves.
Interesting.
This could potentially lead to big reshuffles at ZEC,
Yeah.
maybe bringing in new people who are more aligned with, well, the military's view. What would that mean? The military having such a direct influence on the election body.
Yeah, that raises a pretty significant concern about ZEC's future independence. If the Electoral Commission is seen as being swayed by the military, it could really damage public trust in its impartiality, not just now, but for future elections too.
Okay, let's switch gears slightly, but stay on this track. Let's look at the military investigation itself. This is based on reports from the Informant YouTube channel.
Right.
They're claiming the Army has started tracing specific individuals who allegedly altered those V11 forms, and they say names have actually been taken. That sounds like things are escalating.
It does. And what's fascinating here is the reported reliance on IT experts and intelligence systems to actually find these people.
Makes sense.
In today's world, fiddling with electronic records usually leaves some kind of trail, right? But you need specialized skills to follow it.
The informant goes even further. They're saying election rigging isn't just being seen as a scandal anymore, but as a potential crime under Zimbabwean law, maybe even escalating to treason.
Now that is a significant potential shift. If election manipulation gets framed under treason laws, it really highlights how critical electoral integrity is seen for national security and stability. Treason charges usually carry incredibly severe penalties.
We're also hearing the military has reportedly demanded full access to all V11 forms, and they've put together investigation teams, data analysts, strategic analysts, military lawyers. It sounds like a very thorough, very serious inquiry.
That kind of multidisciplinary team structure points towards a really comprehensive investigation, doesn't it? You've got the technical skills for the data, strategic thinking for the bigger picture, and legal expertise to potentially build a case.
And these teams have apparently already found issues, things like inconsistencies, duplicate forms, numbers being rewritten, digital signatures not matching up within the systems. These are major red flags.
Absolutely. Findings like that could point to anything from, simple systemic errors in handling data all the way to deliberate manipulation. The mismatched digital signatures part is particularly worrying because those signatures are meant to guarantee authenticity. Tampering there is serious.
The informant also claims digital logs show unauthorized changes were made to ZEC servers through the verification system itself, described as unacceptable at all levels. That's strong language.
It is. Any unauthorized access, any alterations to official election servers, that would be a massive breach of security and, the integrity of the whole process. It immediately raises questions. Who had access? Why? What were they trying to do?
There were also claims about 3 ZEC officials being questioned, allegedly in military barracks under something called Military Integrity Protocol, and crucially, without lawyers present. That does raise some due process flags, surely.
It does raise questions. While the military might state its aim is upholding the Constitution, questioning people without legal representation present is definitely a point that could spark legal and ethical debates about the rights of those involved.
And there's this mention of the Gaza situation. It's a bit cryptic, but it suggests that this could lead to more revelations and maybe data being wiped online.
Yeah.
Any idea what that might refer to?
It's hard to say definitively without more context. Sometimes, in these contested information environments, certain individuals or events get code names, and talking about them can trigger more leaks or, conversely, attempts to clamp down on information. Gaza likely signifies some ongoing dynamic related to all this.
Okay, the report keeps coming back to IT specialists trying to figure out who might have changed the V11s, focusing on who had system access. Back to that digital footprint again.
Yeah, it's central. Understanding who could access and modify the election data through system logs, permissions, that sort of thing, is absolutely fundamental to any investigation into potential digital tampering.
We're told 3 specific ZEC divisions are reportedly under serious military investigation. IT systems, the regional command units, and the data review committee. Seems quite targeted.
Well, those departments would be key points in the process, wouldn't they? Collecting results, transmitting them, tabulating them. Focusing there suggests the investigators are looking at where manipulation could have had the biggest impact on the final outcome.
The informant also reports 7 individuals are under full surveillance. 2 supposedly barred from leaving Zimbabwe. 1 apparently given a diplomatic job but also has travel restrictions. These measures suggest authorities are pretty concerned, maybe anticipating legal action.
Restrictions like that usually mean the authorities see these individuals as potentially very important to their investigation. They want to make sure they're available for more questioning, or perhaps even for legal proceedings down the line.
And this discovery of digital footprints related to alterations is a recurring theme. The informant mentions a joint team working on verifying the data of Zimbabwean and Russian experts. That's an interesting international angle. Why involve Russian experts?
Well, bringing in international experts, regardless of origin, could be framed as adding a layer of perceived neutrality, or perhaps bringing in specific technical skills for the data verification that maybe weren't available locally.
Right. And finally, we get some detail on this full metadata audit they're apparently doing. 4 key things: digital timestamps, IP addresses, login credentials, and cross-referencing all that with CCTV footage. That sounds like a deep forensic dive.
Oh, absolutely. That's a comprehensive digital forensics approach. They're trying to build a detailed picture: who logged in, when, from what computer, IP address using which account, and does that match where they physically were, possibly caught on camera. It's standard practice for investigating potential digital fraud.
The report even alleges that original and altered V11s were actually hidden away on servers.
Wow.
And that there's a digital paper trail leading back to whoever made the changes. That's a massive accusation, suggesting deliberate concealment.
If true, yes. That would strongly indicate a conscious effort not just to manipulate results, but to cover it up by hiding the original data. The legal consequences of that would be huge.
And those legal implications are spelled out. Referencing Section 20 of Zimbabwean law, manipulating voting material is a criminal offense. But also, the potential for treason charges. Given the military involvement and these alleged national security breaches, life imprisonment is mentioned as a possibility for treason.
Yeah, bringing treason into the discussion really underlines how seriously these alleged offenses are being viewed by the authorities involved. Given the military's role and how fundamental elections are to governing a country, it's playing for very high stakes.
The reported silence and internal panic among the current leadership, it certainly paints a picture, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A government may be facing a real crisis of confidence and legitimacy.
Well, in situations like this, silence from the top can mean many things: internal debates, struggling for a response, or maybe just acknowledging how serious the allegations are.
So let's try and wrap this deep dive up.
Yeah.
What we seem to be seeing, based purely on these reports we've looked at from Southern Africa, breaking news and the informant, is a situation where the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission looks like it's trying to distance itself from the final election results it declared. At the same time, there's this parallel military investigation reportedly finding evidence of potential, maybe large-scale, manipulation of voting data.
Yeah, and the legal consequences being talked about, including treason, are extremely serious. It's crucial, though, to remember we're relaying the insights gleaned directly from these specific news reports.
Absolutely. This is what they are reporting.
Indeed. And thinking about all this, it really prompts a key question for you, the listener. If these allegations are eventually substantiated, what are the potential long-term consequences for the stability of democratic institutions, for the rule of law in Zimbabwe?
Right.
And maybe even broader than that. What questions does this whole situation raise for you about vulnerabilities and maybe safeguards in electoral systems everywhere? What does it tell us about the importance of transparency and accountability for maintaining public trust?